I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We could remain standing and remember our men and women in the armed forces and two local residents, Bob Camparelli and Marie Guerra. Thank you. Any comments on agenda items? Yes.
It's really a question.
To the microphone,
Yes, sir.
please. You know the routine.
What property maintenance areas? Are any of these repeaters?
Yes, I'm going to get, yes, they are, and I'm going to talk about that. But good, that's a great question. Thank you. In keeping with what we're going to do at almost every meeting is to invite, in particular, new businesses, and then we're going to start on businesses that have been established here on Main Street and invite them to come, one business a meeting, or maybe it'll be one business, one meeting a month instead of both. We have other things that we want to highlight also on a continuous basis. But tonight I've asked the farmer's market. So we have Karen here who runs it on behalf of Vision. And publicly I want to thank Vision. It's a great asset, an addition to the community. How many years? I'm trying to think. 19 years. Wow.
It's amazing.
Wow.
I haven't even been here though.
Yeah, 19 years. I knew it was many. So I go down every Sunday, or try to anyway, and Karen will probably talk about this, but if you want fresh fruit, just picked, you want fresh vegetables, just picked, you want Hudson Valley honey, you want chocolate from the Hudson Valley, you want apple turnovers from a bakery, a Polish bakery in Florida, New York. It's and other items. It's at the farmer's market. So Karen, take an opportunity now. You and I talk about attendance at the farmer's market, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to pick up the attendance. We don't want the farmer's market to go away. No one said it's going away, but it takes folks to buy from the farmers to make the farmers come every week. So
And
go.
that is our challenge,
Yes.
actually.
Just there you go.
And thank you. Hello, everyone. And I just figured I'd give you a little bit about what's new and what we've accomplished.
Come up a little closer.
Sure.
We always get in trouble with they
okay.
can't hear.
Okay. So this year, I mean, obviously last year when I started with the committee, we formed the committee. It takes many hands to make something work. And together the committee has accomplished a lot. We continue to try and enhance what we have, to try and learn and see what we can do to continue to improve the market. However, there are always challenges. So I thought I'd go through a little bit about what we've done so far, where we are, and where I think we need to go. So right now, obviously you mentioned Vision, and this is our 19th year, and that's just phenomenal, and I'd like to thank them for sponsoring this. It's a wonderful thing. So basically, I'm going to read some of these things because they're too good for me to remember. They're perfect written down. Our goal is to craft a one-stop farm-to-table experience, so you would find everything you need for your Sunday meal, for the rest of the week, etc., at our market. Our mission is to support our community, and basically also, we're trying to make our market a destination. We want it to be a full destination. So how do we do that? So yes, we have produce, we have products, and all the things you would expect at a farmer's market, but we're building on that. We have special weekly events to entice, bring community, but not just to bring community, but to bring in transient people from all around. We advertise in many different places. I'll go over that in a minute. Basically, the other thing we're doing is we have our food concession, because everyone loves food when they come to the market. You want to eat when you're there sometimes, not just buy and leave. The other thing we've done this year is make our market a music market, basically. So we are basically, I don't know do all of you folks come every week, or for the most part? Some of you do, some of you don't. I'm going to entice you all to come now, you realize that. So the music is great. You have the music, you have the food to eat, you have a destination. We have special weekly events, and they're throughout the season. So just to kind of read a few, on opening day, we had a Customer and Military Appreciation Day. We have Arts and Crafts Day coming up. We're also setting up a local art exhibit at the market. We have a Food Pantry Day coming this weekend, so we're encouraging people to bring food. They will get donated to the local churches here. We had a Things to Do Day, so in that essentially we were showing people what there is to do around the town. This goes with the Chamber of Commerce and all the things that you're doing, so we decided that we would also provide all that information at the market as well. So basically, coming up we have an Oktoberfest Day, and then at the very end, which is the 28th, we always go to the last Sunday in October, we're going to have our Halloween Day, so we encourage everyone to dress up. So the idea is to, and also have fun for the kids. We have the fire department coming, the police department comes. So basically, we want this to be a destination. We want this to be a place where people from the community, and not just the community, but especially people from the community, come to enjoy themselves. So that is our goal. But I think some of the things that actually challenge, I think there are a lot of people that feel that the market, some people feel that the market may be too expensive. In reality, we're trying to get the message across that if you come and you buy vegetables at the market, they're actually no more expensive than you would pay in a local food market. And plus you're getting them fresh. They're being freshly picked, so ergo they're more nutritious. We have our specialty items. I've been told this year from people like Bob, the gentleman who does the honey, that this is the best, last year and this year is the best he's ever done. So our advertising, which we've reached out more to West Point, we do extensive advertising in West Point. We've also reached out to Bear Mountain. This particular 12 by 18 here, I don't think all of you can see it, but this basically is posted in Bear Mountain. They've allowed us to put this in their kiosk last year and this year. So this is something for them to see. We have our trifold flyers, and I'll get into how these things were all designed in a second. These trifold flyers are all over the place. They're in the visitor center. They're also at Bear Mountain every Friday. I also have the friend of mine who runs the park, the park visitor center on the Parkway. She's actually been kind enough to take these and post these at all the campsites. And she also advertises for it. She allows, she puts up these things at the park visitor center. So we've reached out and we've advertised in many places that perhaps we may not have in the past. However, I think our biggest challenge is getting our community weekly to come down. So we have a group of people, and I would say I recognize a lot of the people that do come, but we're trying to reach out to everyone else. I worked with Dial-A-Bus this year, and Colleen's been nice enough to actually post things in the Dial-A-Bus. So I would love to be able to get the Dial-A-Bus. We were trying to work on this to actually pick people up at Bear Mountain and bring them back here. There's challenges there, but it's a thought. I think, Jim, isn't there something going on perhaps with some kind of a bus, a tour bus? So that might be the answer to this, where we could utilize that as something else that, in addition to for the farmers market assistance. So essentially, you mentioned some of the vendors. For those of you people who may not be regulars, you can check out everything every week. Mary Jane makes sure that everything is printed in the news of the Highlands. Okay, so you will see all of the vendors and whatever special event, a description of the special event. It's also posted in the West Point sites. It is also posted basically around. You'll see flyers here and there posted up. So we've tried everywhere we can to make people aware of what we have. We've started posting, excuse me, I'm stepping away from the mic for a second and I hope you can hear me. We've started posting things in English and in Spanish. We're going to also advertise that at our farmers market we have people who speak Spanish, people who speak Polish, people who, so for people who may feel challenged because of maybe some language barriers, that we have people that can help them there. So I look to the rest of the community here for any other ideas or any other ways to encourage people to attend the market and to hopefully help them see that it is something they can support and afford and come to see. So essentially, we really need everyone's support here in the community. And without it, what my largest challenge is that I lose my vendors. And if people, every year so far since I've taken over, there are people that just leave because there aren't enough people purchasing the things that they have to offer. We try to carefully choose the vendors with our community in mind. However, we need to have a diversity. And that is the biggest thing here that I go for, is diversity. So that essentially the deal is you come to our market, you could leave the supermarket behind, and I don't mean anything against our local supermarket, but you could come to the market and find literally everything you need for your meal. So from soup to nuts, except for eggs this year. So essentially everything is there. So you don't have to go anywhere else. So it's our diversity that we're trying to, just really advertise. And you can go home with a book. Oh, yes, thank you. I have that here. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, our extensive book collection. Actually, that's a really huge draw. I can't tell you how many books are just come and go. Actually, I think we receive about as many as leave every week. It's an amazing thing, but it's a wonderful exchange. So people keep coming, and the children are the best, because it's the only time I ever see little children actually reading books and not on an electronic device. They come there, they sit down, and they read a book, and it just makes me very happy. So this is where we are at this point in time. So I ask the community to forward any ideas to me that you may have to further our cause and to keep things moving forward. So if you have any questions right now, or no?
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Very much.
Great graphics, too. The artwork was sensational.
Yes, that is our Talia Matthews. Does everyone know Talia Matthews?
She did a great
Give me one
job.
more second. I'm sorry, I forgot Talia. Talia actually is the local here. She grew up here. She went to school. In the beginning, we needed a logo, so we put a contest out in the local paper for somebody to come up with a logo for our market to make us look very professional. Okay, and Talia was our winner in this particular case, and she has since then, she's continuing her schooling in graphic arts. So she has continued to do all of our graphics on her own time and provide all of these things that you see every week. Her and I are in touch, and every flyer comes from her every week with everything. So again, thank you to her. We couldn't do it without her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here you go. Thank you. Okay, so before we go on, thank you very much. We needed to pick up, and it will. Before we go to the agenda, I'd like to introduce Colonel Marson. Colonel, could you come up? So I've asked the Colonel to come here tonight to introduce him to the community. He's our new garrison commander.
Hey.
Glad to see you again. So I'm going to read a little bit.
Okay.
Not all of it,
Okay.
but I want the community to know. So let me introduce you, though, to Trustee Murphy,
I know, Trustee
You know
Wilson.
Trustee?
Nice to see
Trustee
you again.
Ramus?
Hey, sir, how you doing? Cecil.
Trustee Livesey,
Hey,
and we have,
sir, how you doing? See you.
and we have one fellow missing, he's on vacation.
Okay,
You'll
sir.
meet. Okay. Colonel Henry Marson, born in, a native of West Virginia. If I get any of this wrong, forgive me.
No, it's okay. I've got all my toes and
Okay.
teeth, so we're
All
good.
right.
That's a good start.
Colonel Marson,
Just kidding, Mayor. That's-
you actually have more than I have. Colonel Marson attended the Infantry Officers Advanced Course, the Combined Armed Services and Staff School, and the Special Forces Qualification Course. Upon completion of the Special Forces training in February of 2002, Colonel Marson was assigned to the 10th Special Forces Group Airborne, Fort Carson, Colorado. In June of 2006, Colonel Marson attended the Command General and Staff College at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Upon graduation with a master's degree in military arts and science from the School of Advanced Military Studies, he returned to the 10th Special Forces Group Airborne and served as a company commander and battalion executive officer. In June of 2010, Colonel Morrison was assigned to the United States Army Special Forces Combined Airborne Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where he served as the Secretary of the General Staff and the G3 Current Operation Officer. Colonel Morrison then attended the Marine Corps War College in Quantico, Virginia, and graduated with a master's degree in military arts strategy studies in June of 2018. And the best part, Colonel Morrison is married. His wife is here at West Point with their 2 children, aged 15 and 12.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Sir, thank you very
Welcome
much.
very,
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you all very much.
I want to thank you for the help, and you mentioned West Point, but the tremendous advertisement that you couldn't pay for it, you know? And when I come down, I see West Point folks at the farmer's market. So we thank you for all that you do. And I thank you for the couple short meetings we had. Tomorrow, I want you to have some time for me.
Yes, sir.
I have a list.
That's good. That's good. I'm ready. I'm ready. I got paper, pen. I'm ready to go. That's
So,
awesome.
welcome,
Yes, sir.
welcome.
Thank you all
sir.
very much. Thank you all.
And as I say to all our guests who come here in the beginning of the meeting, you're not on the agenda, you don't have to stay for this. No, I'd rather have you go do that, believe me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Colonel, the village and West Point have a very special relationship that's been going on for decades and decades, since we both have been here, really. I'm sure in the very beginning, 1802, I'm sure. So I look forward to continuing that. The garrison commander is like the mayor of West Point.
Unelected.
That's the luxury that you have. But I do look forward to it. Thank you for coming. If we could approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was on the 6th of August, it would be appropriate to do.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Ramus, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have Recreation has sent in a request. We already approved this softball game over at Roe Park, but I think it might have been weather. There was some reason they couldn't have it on that date. No, they want to have it August 25th, which is this weekend. They want to change it to the 29th of September. Now, the Recreation Director has approved it. He has nothing going on, so I think we'll be okay if we approve it for the new date. Their insurance and everything's been handed in. It's just a change of date.
Motion to approve.
Motion by trustee Murphy. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by trustee Ramus. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. You have the Town of Highlands Building Department report. Charlie, anything you want to add?
I was going to bring the board up to date about the old guard, but I'll do that during the
Okay.
board discussion.
All right, next we have, we tabled this at the last meeting, the air conditioner for the police department, to check a couple of the quotes out. That has been done. You have the 2 quotes. We've received 2 quotes. One was for $13,000 and one was for $9,500. Your pleasure.
I'll move that we accept the low bidder. I believe these are the same pieces of equipment we've discussed in the past, and our engineer has felt that they're comparable. Just one has a bigger brand name.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by trustee Murphy, seconded by trustee Livesey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next we have on the agenda is it's a bike ride. This is just a formality. This is a very, I think they're starting, I don't know if it says here, but I'm going to say Liberty Monticello up that way, coming down. And I've given this to the police chief, so he's aware of the date. We believe they're coming down Mountain Avenue, making a right and going south. So this has to be approved, that we're allowing them to do that, and it's part of their paperwork for the county. It's going to be on September the 16th.
Just for curiosity, why is it that they're gonna go down Mountain Avenue and then take a right?
And take a right?
Yeah.
Well, they're heading south.
Right, but they're coming down from 9W?
I believe so.
Back out? on-
Well, it's a scenic thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so let's approve this here. They'll be in and out.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by trustee Ramus, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we want to approve this gentleman here who wants to join the Highland Falls Fire Department. It's pending his physical. The motion should read pending his physical.
I'll make the motion that we approve Joshua Keenan pending his physical.
And I would like to point out, and this is not the first time, and I'm glad the colonel's here right now. It's happened before, but this gentleman, he lives on West Point, so he's in the service, but he wants to volunteer down here. So that's great. That's great stuff.
And at our last meeting, we approved another individual who actually marched in the 4th of July parade with the fire company in military dress but carrying the flag. So we're glad to have him on board too.
And we had on the ambulance corps, Kendrick Ladd was a EMT cadet.
I didn't know that.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The colonel has brought up a few times, let's don't bring up the 4th of July anymore, because he brings it up in relationship to the rain. He kind of laughed at,
We all remember the rain.
you'll see,
I'll be ready next year. I'll be ready.
you'll see. Okay, so we have a motion by trustee Murphy. Who seconded it? Joshua?
I'll second that.
Motion seconded by trustee Ramus for Joshua Keenan, pending his physical, turning into the village clerk. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Let's do this here. Let's skip one for a second. We need to change our next village board meeting because it's on Monday, Labor Day. So let's change it to Tuesday, September the 4th. Here, same time, 7 p.m. Through a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so let's do the property maintenance. Every week, or every meeting for the last few months, we've had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 property maintenance addresses that need to be taken care of in front of us, all for overgrowth. So, Mr. Devereaux, the answer to your question about 128 Mountain Avenue, 20 Lake Street, 14 Lake Street, 17 Liberty Street, 9 Sweezy, and 22 Mountain Avenue have all been here. All been here. And so, before I get into this, Elise, we have talked about it. And now it's time I'm going to ask you to write something up for a code, because when it's your second time, your third time, your fourth time, and I'm not exaggerating, your fifth time, the fines have to go up. The administrative fee, the administrative work that has to be done, folks don't understand. And then you have to keep track of it for a year so that you get paid back from the county. it's an on and on and on thing. And these are the same folks. They have a private landscaper,
And when you
the
talk-
Village of Holland Falls.
Right, the maintenance is the grass cutting of all of these properties,
Yeah.
which is out of control now.
So, would you prepare something for us to look at the next meeting, discuss on people who are violators more than once? I'm even prepared to go twice,
Okay,
you know?
you could have a graduated, fine structure now. Let me look at that, maybe we just up it,
Maybe we want to raise the fines.
raise it, and also put in some, there might also be a way to, look at the fines and also look at the administrative costs.
Mhm.
We may want to add those in.
Yeah, yeah.
And also look at the criminal proceedings to see if,
Yeah.
maybe at a certain point, they do get an appearance ticket and they do go to justice court. And then they're in front of a judge, as well as all of this.
Yeah, it's time. It's time.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
One glimmer of hope is that when certain properties have gotten notices of violation, they are being remedied. So the fact that we are doing this at every meeting is putting the fear into people that they know that we're serious, and if they don't cut the grass, we'll be doing it at a much higher cost to them.
I hope so. This past Sunday, I took, as I a lot of times do, took a ride around. And I saw some property maintenance issues on several houses. They're not on here. They're not on here. You know, we sit up here and we talk about property maintenance issues every meeting. We talk about speeding on side streets. I don't know. What I saw this past Sunday in several places in this village made me very sad. It made me very, very sad. And so help us out, Elise, with making the law stronger. But I also would like to talk to the board at another time, in particular what I saw. And, we can't make people cut their grass. We can't slow people, take their foot off the gas pedal. We can't do it. I wish we could. I wish that would be easy, I think. But we sit up here and these problems come to us. And for me, and I'm sure that you too feel inadequate because, again, it's the same addresses. It's the same people speeding. It's the same people throwing trash out of their windows. I saw Gus Fishburne, Colonel Fishburne, as he always does. I think he told me once that his wife says if you want to go and smoke a cigar, and he has these big fat ones, go pick trash up while you're doing it because you're not smoking in the house. So he does that. That's what he does. He smokes his cigar and he picks up the trash. And I saw him picking up the trash around Stony Lonesome exit there. I went out of town later that day. It was like he hadn't even been there. It was not exaggerating. It's sad. We'll never be the community we want to be unless we all participate. We all have to participate. All right. I will tell you another thing that we're going to start, and it's Mr. Ramos's suggestion, and I love it. And I think we'll be prepared at the next meeting. Whether there's property maintenance issues on our agenda or not, and I would love for it not to be. But if there are, if this continues, either way, yes or no, they're on our agenda. We're going to start to show pictures of places in town, homes in town, properties in town that are worth noting in that they're up, the property owner keeps the property up.
Jewels in the community.
Jewels in the community. So we're going to show some of those pictures from now on too. I think it's worth it. Okay, so right now this is we're going to do this the same way as we've done in the past. We're going to have one resolution. And I want to ask, is there anyone in the audience that is either the owner or is representing 128 Mountain Avenue, 20 Lake Street, 14 Lake Street, 17 Liberty Street, 9 Sweezy, or 22 Mountain Avenue? Let the record show there's no one here, owner or representing. And this was a public, I'm sorry, we went into a public hearing here. Gene, I'm sure you put that time down? I appreciate it, thank you. So the resolution concerning violations of property maintenance, whereas the long-standing violations of Village Property Maintenance Law, Chapter 170 of the Village of Highland Falls Code has existed at 128 Mountain, 20 Lake, 14 Lake Street, 17 Liberty Street, 9 Sweezy, and 22 Mountain Avenue. And whereas the property owner have been given due notice of said violations and have been directed to correct the violations. And whereas the property owner or owners were given due notice of a public hearing to be held by the Board of Trustees on August the 20th, 2018 at 7 p.m. to determine whether the violations have been properly remedied and whether to order that corrective action be undertaken by the village to correct said violations of the property owner's costs and expense. To bill said costs and expense to the property owner, and to levy the same against the property. And whereas the public hearing was duly held by the Board of Trustees on the 20th of August, 2018, and whereas the owner or owners did not appear, and whereas the owner or owners have not taken steps to correct the violations, and the violations still exist. And whereas the Board of Trustees authorizes pursuant to Chapter 170-6 of the Property Maintenance Law to authorize that the village undertake to remedy such violations at the property owner's cost and expense. Now therefore, be it resolved that the village, its contractors, or agents shall enter upon the property to correct the violations that have all costs, and that all costs incurred by the village, including administrative, legal, corrective action costs, be charged to the property owner, and such charge shall be added to the tax bill of the property owner if not paid within 30 days of notification to the last known address of the property owner, as shown on the village tax records. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy. May I have roll call?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so much. May I have a motion to pay bills for fiscal year 18-19 of $103,639.79. The bills were reviewed downstairs by the board.
I will make that motion.
Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a
Second.
second? Trustee Ramus, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, quickly, I'm going to go through this because we need to go into executive session. So on September the 24th, next month, at the West Point Golf Course, will be a tournament to benefit Soldiers Strong. Colonel, do you know anything about this?
I know, yes, I do know.
Yeah. So the funds go to Soldiers Strong, which is to help them medically in one aspect or another.
As far as Warriors.
Wounded Warriors. So you can't get better than this if you know how to play golf. It's $160 per player. I'll have the flyer up here, and we'll post it downstairs on the bulletin board. The Orange County Hazardous Waste is collecting items, paint, aerosol cans, automotive products, fire extinguishers, flammable liquids, all kinds of rubber, cement, paint thinner, and that'll take place on September 22 at the Orange County Fire Training Center in New Hampton. John, I'm reading this and thinking, I wish I had saw you before the meeting, but we have time to talk about this. It's hard for people to drive out there to New Hampton. It's not around the corner. Maybe we can set a dumpster up for a short period, because I know what happens when you put a dumpster somewhere. But let's talk about this if we can. But right now, the residents can drive out to this September 22 from 9 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. It's at the Orange County Fire Training Center. Let's talk if we could do something in-house to help. We'll talk. Is there anyone, Gina, is there anyone sitting over there? Just you could, okay. I've been approached by Jim DeSalvo about a grant that could come out of the IDA, for which he's a member. This grant could cover a lot of the Restore New York grant, which is a $50,000 to $60,000 engineering cost for us to make that grant come to completion. And it scared us. I know we talked about this, the engineering costs, which are not included in the grant. So I have the paperwork here, and I'm going to apply. And we'll see what we get. If we get 20, if we get 30. I mean, I'm going to put in for the whole thing. We're moving forward on the Holland Falls Marina. We're going to go out with a request for a proposal to do the next step, which we have a grant for. We did the feasibility study. Now we're going to do the strategy. So, and Colonel, this is a project, we'll see where it takes us, but to have public access to the river. It's down by McDonald's, down that road. And I also would like to talk to you about another piece that's down there that we could add to it. Thank you. I would like the board, if possibly by next meeting, to look at what our attorney has given us about property maintenance. I'm sure you remember this document. It's 3 or 4 pages here. But we need to, she put the work into it. We asked her to do it, but now we need to look at it and discuss it, okay? You know what, and tomorrow what I'll do, in case you've misplaced, I'm gonna put one of these in everyone's box, all right? Same with this one from the Consolidated Planning Board from Eric Smith. He has some recommendations here. And so we don't wanna, not look at these. So I'll make a copy of this too.
That's on the fee structure.
Yeah. Okay? I'll take care of that.
I have a question for the attorney on that. For the fee structure, do we have to have a public hearing if we change the fee structure? We don't? We could if we wanted.
Yes.
Okay.
It's by resolution, correct? Fee structure is set by resolution.
Yeah.
Correct.
not
Yeah.
by law.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. So unless there's something in the local law that says you have to have a public hearing, which I seriously doubt, then that's the
Okay. Thank you.
I think the last thing I have is we've been working towards becoming a climate-smart community. There are 4 hurdles, like the charging station for cars up the street here, electric cars, is one. And so we've completed 3, and we have 1 more to complete. I'm working with these folks from the state so that we can become a climate-smart community. We have options for the 4th. I'll come back to the board and we'll discuss which option we might want to do. Okay? Murph?
I have a couple things. One of the first things I want to talk about is, since I've been on this board, I've been urging residents here in this community to slow down for these stop signs that we have out there. I don't see much of that, and there's still a lot of speeding going on, and we got to remind ourselves that in 2 weeks, the children are going to be out there waiting for the buses, so there's going to be a lot of kids walking around. And this is going to bring me to another thing. I don't care for Facebook too much, but once in a while you'll post something and you'll see something on there. And something that aggravated me a little bit, I seen a statement on there that what's happening to this community in the village of Howland Falls, the reason a lot of the tourists are avoiding our area is because too many of the police are writing them up tickets for speeding. So this is the cause of a lot of the businesses not making a lot of money along the village here. Well, this really bothers me to hear that because, number one, if somebody's speeding through the village of Howland Falls, you're going to get pulled over. And I support the police on doing that. I wouldn't put any blame on the police department here in the village of Howland Falls because of the lack of business that some of the businesses are getting. I think the safety out there is number one for everybody that's walking, the pedestrians that are walking along the roads. We don't want traffic coming through here fast, and we don't want people just to avoid the stop signs of what they say. So this statement on Facebook, I know there was a lot of comments on that, but again, I support the police out there for stopping these people, wherever you're from, if you're visiting Howland Falls, if you're visiting Bear Mountain, if you're visiting West Point. Listen, you got to obey what the sign says. Another thing I want to bring up is, at least this would probably go more towards you. I've been talking before about containers that we have out there, the 10-yard, the 20-yard, and the 30-yard containers. I really think that the village of Howland Falls, we need to set a time on these things. So if somebody's going to have construction going on, whether it be in their home or on their property or at a business, I understand that the way the law goes, if it sets on village property, then it changes the law a little bit. But if it's on the homeowner's property, there's a different law on that.
I don't think that it's.
I had a long talk today with the town. But what I think we ought to do here in the village of Howland Falls, before somebody orders a container, we ought to set a time on these things. Be it be 30 days or whatever it should be. And the reason this is all brought up, because a couple of these containers now, I noticed that they have blue covers on them. The blue covers are filled up with water. Water brings the mosquitoes, and it brings other things. There's also garbage being thrown in there, as Mr. Mayor said. So I really think that we ought to look at this and examine what kind of guidelines are we going to put on these containers if somebody orders one.
You mean for their personal property?
For their personal property, or it be commercial property. Because again, a homeowner that's keeping a good property maintenance to himself, you know, you got to respect that person and what their visibility is going to be from their own home too. And if somebody's going to order a container, they should be using that container immediately, not have it sitting out there for about a month unused. So I think we ought to set up a guideline on that.
Generally, there are costs involved that would limit how long you'd want
I'm not
it
sure
to
how
keep
some
it.
of them work. I don't know if they do them by the load or by the weight. Johnny, you would know more on that.
I always thought there was a rule or a law, like if they put them in the street. I've had phone calls where they've called me and said, oh, we're gonna have them in the street this day, and those people usually have them out of there right away. It's the people
Right.
I don't hear from that they're
Right.
sitting there for months.
Okay, I got it. You know what, I know some people get upset with me, but there's folks home watching this, and then they start complaining that they can't hear, and then they get aggravated and they turn. And I don't want anyone to turn this off. So, from now on.
Johnny, you would have to go up and talk on the mic.
You gotta get up, but I understand what you're saying. No, you, all right, we'll have the attorney look, if you
I'll
could
look
see
at
what
it.
other communities do, I'm not sure.
All right, I'll
I'm
check
not
that
sure.
out.
Then one thing I also want to do is I want to compliment you guys, the village, for all the flowers and everything are out there right now. I noticed this morning, they are really growing out
Yeah,
there.
the flowers,
blooming.
yeah, the beautification you made did great.
And lastly, the last thing I have to talk about, I'm sure me and Charlie are going to have a debate on this, is the Pointers.
Not tonight.
The Pointers Echo. The Pointers Echo, the last time the gentleman was here, I actually watched the tape twice. I spoke to some people this afternoon, and I got to tell you something, Charlie, I'm extremely disappointed.
I have an update.
I have an update too. And
Well,
everything he said Nothing happened. And you know what? West Point has a game coming up soon. We got a lot of people coming around the area. That place looks hideous. That's what it looks like. And there's no more excuses, there's no more updates from me, there's no more nothing. He stood up here and everything that he said didn't happen, including a simple $50 is all he had to pay down there for a permit. And nothing happened, zero. And that is 100% accurate. So if you got an update, I respect you for that and I'll listen to it, but I give up with that.
Okay, I just...
I know you don't wanna
No,
get
no,
into
no,
it,
no, no,
yeah,
no, that's not what I'm gonna say. Are you okay? You're done?
I'm good,
Okay. Okay, because,
I'm good.
okay. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay. Well, I had one happy thing to remind people of. The West Point Highland Falls Rotary Club annual Storm King Run is scheduled for August 26th. This raises money for scholarships. It's bright and early in the morning, and you run over Storm King Mountain, and as long as it's not raining, it's a wonderful race. On to other subjects. I know I share your frustration because I thought the asbestos would be remediated sooner. They do have a signed contract with certified, it's a company, Genesee Environment. It was delayed 2 weeks, but the contracts have been awarded and signed. They have also got a third-party monitoring engineering firm. It's Barton and Lejudas, or Lejudas. They have contracted with a certified well drilling. It's Tompkins out of Montgomery. They will decommission the well. The demolition company is Savage Equipment. Genesee is to start August 27th. The abatement will run from the 27th to the 31st. A certified report will be delivered to the village. Demolition will be September 4th through the 7th. The decommissioning of the well is September 10th. Final fencing, not temporary, the final fencing will be set up September 11th to the 12th to ensure safety of the site. Now, the one area that we need to get a response back from Pat Hines is that the requirement of importing soil, it sounds like that actually will increase the potential for runoff risk. So that needs to be discussed with our engineer as to whether or not we would countenance relieving that obligation. I think the owners will say that they're not obligated to do it, but there was this sense that if it wasn't brought in, that it would be creating some kind of a swimming pool. And as Mr. Laux explained when he was here, that's not the case. So that's one area that is still up in the air. I did mention the abatement was delayed by the Genesee company because they were wrapping up other projects. And I alluded earlier to the number of notices of violations. There were 12 advisory notices that were corrected without coming before us. So that's a step in the right direction. And that's all I've got.
Charlie, I respect what you're saying tonight, but I gotta tell you something. I don't see it. And on that weekend before you said September 4th?
The demolition,
Right,
4th through the 7th.
the 4th through the 7th? Oh, okay. I'll be away for 3 days, and when I come back...
You better be gone.
No, not better be gone, because it's gonna still be there, but I look forward to seeing that, and then we'll have our meeting on the 5th, and I'm
Okay.
sure we'll discuss it again.
Now, then consider the alternative. Do we go and take it down?
I don't think that is an alternative. I don't. They got themselves into this.
I would never recommend to the board, that the village spend any money.
I wouldn't either.
I agree.
On this property.
I agree.
The Old Guard Hotel folks, whoever they are, have, in my opinion, put themselves in the position they're in, and there is a trust issue. Okay, whether it's warranted or not, it's felt. Right, there's a trust issue, and we're going to. I have a. We'll let it go at that. You're all done with that report? Okay, you okay?
I'm good.
Okay, Mr. Amos.
Just so everybody knows, and I'm sure they're well aware, that we had a fire down at the sewer plant. Fire departments did a good job getting down there. Nobody was hurt. Right now, we're assessing the damage, and once that is done, then we're going to work on a plan to get everything fixed. That's really all I want to talk about with the sewer department at this time. So just a couple other things. Dr. Chaboy was here in the past. I have sent him a few emails, and just want to let the public know that I'm going to send him another one that I just got in. It's about indoor air quality tools for the schools. And anybody can go to these seminars because they're on the web. And it talks about training the staff in preventive maintenance and indoor quality and management for the children up there. So if you go there, you go to this webinar, get educated, then you can also ask Dr. Chaboy what he's doing to ensure the children's safety up there. Knowledge is great. So if anybody wants to go to that website, or if you want me to forward it to you, just send me an email at my address at the village, or you can go to iaqschools@epa.gov. Another quick thing, Mr. Mayor, I've seen you talked about climate smart communities. The Hudson River Net has a program out there, and once we get into this climate smart initiative, they have a lot of videos out there that I think would be helpful. And the ones that they're working on right now are about flood management. I know the water gets high down there at the river, so it might be something that we might be interested in looking at some of these videos. That's all I got for the moment.
And we're addressing that closeness of our wastewater treatment plant to the river with some improvements. So thank you. A couple quick things that I didn't mention. Merv, you did mention, I appreciate it, that school starts on Wednesday, September 5th. So there's going to be a lot of little guys running around, coming off the curb and into a lane of traffic. So we all just really need to be careful until we get used to them and they get used to us in our vehicles. Very disappointed over at Roe Park. We've spent several years ago over $1 million, and we have plans to spend more to upgrade it. But when I went over there this past Sunday, the matting by the children's playground, the thick rubber matting, was all torn up, and it looked like, I don't know who did it, but they were peeling it back, and there had to be 100 chunks over there. Now that was picked up today and cleaned up, but there's an issue there that we're going to have to address. And the last thing, I spoke about Jim DeSalvo about a grant from the IDA for which he sits on. I want to mention another grant that he has received, and I believe the town knows about it. It's $165,000 grant. $100,000 of it will go towards a pole barn where the town will be able to put its vehicles under. The town, along with the village, same as the village, all of our equipment doesn't fit inside. These garages that we have are old, and there's only so much room. So $100,000 of that grant that Mr. DeSalvo got from Senator Larkin's office will go towards a pole barn, I believe, and the remaining $65,000 will go towards equipment. So I bring that up as the town received the grant, but when the town receives a grant for something to do with sanitation or equipment, the village taxpayers also save. So that's Mr. Perry's here from the town board, and was that known, Rich? Yes. You know that, okay? So, yeah, so I thank Jim DeSalvo for this, because, again, every grant you get, whoever gets them, saves us money. So, thank you for that. We need to go into executive session, but is there any questions from the audience in keeping with the guidelines for public comment? Yes.
Ray Devereaux, on York Park. Would you kindly give the community an update, a progress report, if you will, on the consolidation effort, including appointments to the committee?
I won't give you that, but I'll give you what I have as an update. I met with Tim Wiederman. I met with Tim Wiederman last week, and we talked about the police report that he has, that the police consolidation that was done by the village police chief, along with comments by the previous police chief in Fort Montgomery, Quinn. He has, even though he had it, he had been given it, to me, it was like 3 or 4 months ago, he had to be given it again to review. So what was presented here that night in July, I think it was July 13th, actually, Mr. Devereaux, you were here also, were not the right numbers. And so that's how that all came about, for him to be given a better report so that he could determine which way to go. Roundout has reduced their workload. He told me. I felt, to be very honest with you, I felt the 4 months that we couldn't contact him, I believe it was a personal issue, and I decided not to ask him what that personal issue was. I can't do anything about the 4 months. They're gone. He has resurfaced. But it was 4 months, and you really couldn't get him. Even the state couldn't get him. But I didn't feel it was, I didn't want to get into anything that was personal. He's looking at, again, he's looking at all the information that he had collected. He did say that it was clear to him that his orders the last time from the committee was consolidation. And that's should be an inaccurate, that's not a good statement to make. You have to go into this thing with your eyes open. And he was not given, I'm not sure how wide his eyes were open. His comment, and I made quotations, consolidation does not mean savings. Cutting services means savings, and we all know that. That's not a revelation. There's going to be, if there's savings, it's going to be because services are being cut. That was his comment. I've asked him for, because of the contract that the previous administration signed along with Roundout, it has in there, I want a copy of all paperwork that was done, turned in either by the committee or by Roundout. It's, you know, we have to remember, it's the taxpayers' money that paid for this. So there were several things in the contract that need to be adhered to. And then he wanted to talk about the contract itself, because the contract itself has expired. Now, the contract itself expired with no product in hand, has something to do with the 4 months that he was not here. And so I told him at his next visit, he's supposed to write up a new contract. He'll bring it to the next meeting, and the village board will review it. But I did say to him, for the last 4 months that you were not around, the village will not pay for. So when the new contract starts, there'll be a new start date. It won't go back. Because some of those months that he was not here, there was no contract in place because it had expired. So, yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but
You can lift that up. Lift that.
Some of us have talked to the office that issued the grant. It was not village money, it was a $25,000 grant from the state.
Matching,
Pardon me?
matching.
Was it- Oh, matching, I'm sorry, okay, all right. So-
$25,000 by village taxpayers.
Okay, but supposedly there's $15,000 remaining
That's right,
at state,
that's right.
so therefore. it's
I didn't
not
say
a-
the grant money was up.
Okay.
There's $15,000 left at the state, and we have to pay 15.
Okay,
Yes, you're almost correct.
okay,
You're almost correct, that's good. That's good.
thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Yes.
Hi, my name is Richard Zizi, and this is in reference to the Squeezy Rose extension that was approved by the former board back in, I'm not sure if it's November 9/15. Now, I appreciate and I know that John and the mayor have been working on developing, paving the road up to further down the road, but I would like to make a recommendation and a donation of these concrete blocks. And I drew something up that, a sketch up of, to extend it beyond that for use of the village for the snow removal it's just remarkable, the work that you guys do with moving that snow. I mean, it's incomprehensible how you get rid of it all in this small community and do it so fast and such a nice job. But if you went beyond, as on that drawing, and put a couple barriers and did some fill, you'd be able to remove a lot more snow. And I'm willing to donate, if it's okay. There it shows 3 barriers. They're 2 foot by 2 foot by 6 foot concrete barriers. But I'd be willing to pay for 8 of them. The only thing is, I would need you just to go pick them up in Tuxedo. So that's, I
Well,
mean,
on
whether
the-
you use it for this or any other project, I don't care.
On the barriers, Jim, if you would look at his drawings there and speak to John, you know, when you both have time about this. But the village will have a little question on who's buying the barriers and then who they belong to, and if something was that, it's crazy. Listen, I'm sure you know this. Today, insurance and not insurance, and you buying it, and it going on a village road, and
Well, I could
I've
donate the
learned
money and use
I
to pay
understand.
for it,
Well,
or whatever,
we'll
however
see.
you want to do it. Here's the
We'll
profile.
we'll see, we'll see. We'll-
Profile for
yeah.
for how the pitch would be after the dirt, this is the dirt that's there now, extra dirt, and
Yeah.
how it would pitch alongside.
Okay,
You know, where this is here. So I just wanted to explain that.
I know.
And give the information, and I just was making a recommendation. And a donation, if possible.
okay. We'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
But,
I just showed John it, and so I know.
yeah, he has a copy, I see that, okay?
Okay,
Perfect.
all right, thanks.
Thank you. So, as I try to do when I know about it, with birthdays, they're so important, you know, especially as we get older.
Right.
It's Mary Jane's birthday next week, so since I won't see her, I'm going on vacation. And so, I didn't have any candles, so that's a match.
Oh, gee.
A match to a match. And this is a fresh muffin from Tom. So make a wish. You gotta be secret about it, otherwise it's gonna come true. Huh? Hold on, these are army matches, see? Okay, make a wish.
Yay.
I'm gonna give you these army give these to Tom.
Do we sing now?
Now we sing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mary Jane. Happy birthday to you. Yay!
And I thought you were going to honor me.
When is your birthday? Of August? Wait till the next meeting, Ray. Do I have a surprise for you? That's great. I'm glad you told me. Thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday to you too, Mr. Devereaux. Okay. Now, I need a motion to go into executive session on two personnel issues.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second by Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.